Hey folks, Jerome here again. Uh, I'm gonna record me doing my homework for my next week's guitar lesson. So my guitar homework was to practice A minor pentatonic, practice soloing over a backing track. The instructor wanted me to record a backing track first and then do solo over top of that. Didn't get a looper this week. I couldn't find one, and but we'll get to that in a second. We'll probably I'll just use a backing track. Should be good enough for next week. All right, so let's get into it. First things first, I should probably practice the A minor pentatonic. I mean, this is pretty boring shit. But, let's see what we're doing. We got to do it. Let's do it at 80 beats a minute. See where we're to at A minor pentatonic. This should be fairly straightforward. One. Not clean. Even at 80 beats a minute. Keep going. Okay, 4 times through at 80 beats a minute. That was pretty clean. Typically, I would probably go through probably a bit higher. But that's kind of boring, and I don't want to do that tonight. Tonight's Friday, and I got all week to practice. So, A minor pentatonic, I need to do that. What's more interesting than practicing that faster, let's do it, same thing, but let's do it string skipping. Same one, but we'll do. See if I can do it. messed it up. Do it again. And I messed it up again. And mess it up again. Mother. Okay, minor mistakes. Close enough. So it's string skipping at 80 beats a minute. So I can do A minor pentatonic at 80 beats a minute pretty clean. 80 beats a minute string skipping. It's getting pretty monotonous now, but you know, we get it. So what we're working towards, what I'm working towards, is being able to solo over a 12-bar blues without mistakes for Wednesday. What else we need to practice? So, okay. So, speaking of that, one of the questions the teacher had for me, the instructor had, was he was gauging my level of music theory knowledge. And I had a bunch of material. I spent months working on music theory. So in a 30-minute lesson, I kind of flubbed it. So I want to go over. I've got my music theory. We'll get into some nerdiness. So circle, note circle. All the notes arranged in a circle. You know, it's clock arithmetic in music theory. I know this, and there's 12 notes, and they just go around a circle. And this is important for building scales. So I wrote this out in a circle format so that whenever I'm building scales, I can refer back to this. Anyway, this is pretty boring, but if you're doing music theory, arrange your notes, the 12 notes, in a circle, so you can have it as a reference. What else we got? We got a bunch of other stuff. So, the next one. Using the note circle, I built up all the major and minor scales. Wrote it out in Word and printed it off. So I gotta have the notes. I need to know all the notes in every scale. So I have it as a reference. I need ultimately know, eventually over time I would know this by heart. But, you know, I'm beginning, so I need to know this. What else? Oh, this is what I was looking for last one. I couldn't find it. My key chart. Given every key, what are the chords in every key? the instructor was asking, given any key, what are, say, in the key of G, what are the chords? And here we've got them. G. Right, we're looking at the wrong way, you know. G, major, minor, minor, major, major, minor, diminished. Forgot that, flubbed that in the first 30 minutes, but you know. So I've already drawn this up. I know this is a good reference for what are the chords in a key. So if we're playing the key of G, I know what chords we should be playing. So if we're playing the 12-bar blues in A, and we want to play 12-bar blues, so it's 1, 4, and 5. They're the chords in the key we play. Whatever we're playing in, so we need to know the 1, 4, and 5 in all the keys. So this is important to know. But you can figure that out from the actual. There's a formula for it on the fretboard that I just learned tonight from Justin Guitar, actually. So, given any note, let's start on, say, A. In the key of A, there's the 1 chord. 4 chord is odd. We just move it down because we know the guitar is tuned in 4th. So if I move down, A goes to D. So we know D is the 4 chord. We mute the low E. We're playing the power chord. So the 1 chord, the 4 chord, and then the 5 chord, we move it up 1 fret. So that's 1, 4, and 5. So that's what I learned tonight. You don't even need to know the notes. 1, 4, and 5. So we can play power chord. We can play power chords here. Move it down, and then up 1 fret. And then we can play. So 1, 4, and 5 gets us into the 3 chords that we play in typical 12-bar blues progression. This is me learning now. I'm not trying to teach you anything. I'm learning this shit as I go. So, okay, so we know the chords in a key. We can also know it using the fretboard. 1, 4, 5. So we know 1, 4, and 5. Okay, good. 1, 4, and 5. And so far we're in the key of A. So I can play A minor pentatonic over all those chords, and it'll be fine. And it'll sound good. Not by fine. Also me playing pentatonic. A minor pentatonic. So I printed out fretboard paper. And all the patterns. Typical patterns, the typical A minor pentatonic pattern in position 5 pattern. One that everybody learns is this one right here. Second one down from the top. And then of course plotted out all the notes in A minor pentatonic, which is relative major C. So we're talking key of C, except we're throwing away B and F. And that's A minor pentatonic. So we're all those notes crossed and Eric. That's there, and then finish it off on this side here, just so I can have it as a reference. I'm looking at the wrong way. It's upside down. Here we go. And then here. So I know all the patterns in the neck, so I can practice A minor pentatonic. Typically, we practice in 5th position here, but we can easily practice it in 2nd position or anywhere else. So this will eventually become muscle memory, and I won't need to think about it. But because I'm learning it, then I just wanted to know this for myself, and I will eventually learn this myself. So that takes us to 12-bar blues, standard 12-bar blues progression. So up until, I don't know, today really, I did not know this. The standard 12-bar blues progression. Four bars in the 1 chord in the key of A, which is A, and then we're going to go 2 bars in the 4 chord, which is D, 2 bars back to the 1 chord, 1 bar of the 5 chord, which is E, 1 bar of the 4 chord, which is D, 1 bar of the 1 chord, which is A, and then 1 bar of the 5 chord, which is E. This standard 12-bar progression, which I did not know till literally probably yesterday. The standard. So, more you learn. So, what I've been doing for a year. Standard. This is what I've been doing for a year. What have I been doing for a year? Jesus. I don't even know. G, C, and D. Or, you know. Anyway, enough of that. So, A minor pentatonic. So, I flubbed it again. And then, so one thing he didn't mention was anything about string muting. So when I'm practicing that, I really using the palm of my hand to mute it as I go, and then really this finger should mute everything below it, and then this. I know this, but this is the kind of stuff that I need to practice, and he never mentioned it. The instructor never mentioned any of this. So when I'm practicing A minor pentatonic, never mentioned string muting at all. I guess for 12-bar progression and soloing, does it really matter? As a beginner, probably not. So I don't know. He never mentioned it, but I'm gonna practice it anyway. What else we got? So we got to practice 12-bar blues, and we got to practice soloing over top. So the other thing that I've been practicing, he didn't mention any of this. So what I've been learning about 12-bar blues from Justin Guitar is the scale is the alphabet. So this is ABC. This is your ABCs. And if you're playing the blues, you don't play scales. The scales are just letters. What you should be playing are words or phrases, as Justin calls it. And then phrases are just sequences of, or canned sequences of notes across the fretboard. So my instructor never mentioned any of this. He just said play A minor pentatonic and solo over top of the 1-4-5 chord progression. This thing, which I didn't know, which he didn't tell me, so I had to go figure that out. So, learning 12-bar blues, which is my first foray into moving into lead guitar, which is kind of the basis for all of rock. So it's good to learn. So in order to get to playing a good solo, instead of playing scales, which is moving from this, oh, my computer died. So moving from here into so typical, if I were just see, this is how, given I'm just making stuff up, right? So even while I'm just trying to move around the A minor pentatonic, I'm messing up the notes. So I guess this is what he's talking about. And he never mentioned anything about the blues scale, so I can also practice the blues scale, which is we flow in the flat 5. So we throw in the extra D sharp note. A, C, D, D sharp, E. But, I mean, I don't think we need that for next week. So for now, I'm going to ignore it. But typically, the blues scale can include that flat 5. And back to the root. So root, root. The other thing that he didn't mention, which is fingering. So we're playing A minor pentatonic, and typically you use the one finger per fret. So you use the first finger, and then the pinky. See, and I'm still messing that up. So the pinky for the and go up to the 4th fret. So 5, 8, which would be the pinky. And if we use the 1 finger per fret, then here we're using the pinky on the 8th fret. But when you're doing string bends, that pinky isn't optimal. So for the top 2 strings, we really want to be using the ring finger so we can do string bends. So this is another thing he didn't mention, but it's just if you're going to do any type of string bends on the top 2 strings, you probably don't want to be bending with the pinky. You can, but bending is with the index finger is easier. And then this is where we get into phrasing, or just words of the blues scale. You don't just play, which is up to date. This is nobody's ever taught me how to solo properly, so I've been just winging it really and just playing notes at random. Which, okay, so for next week, so if he plays, he's going to play typical, he's going to play this chord progression, and what am I going to do? I'm going to sit here and go, alright, fine, I'm going to do... something like that, and I'm gonna mess it up. So this is me learning the blues guitar. This is what I know so far, and it's pretty absolutely abysmal. And the little things we haven't touched on yet. Well, I mean, it was only a 30-minute first intro, and the only homework that I had was do A minor pentatonic scale over top of a backing track. But I dropped my pick again, which is the Dava pick. Anyway, anybody cares? Dava jazz pick. It's actually one of my favorites. So to recap, so we want 12 bar blues. So for next week, I'm supposed to be able to A minor pentatonic over top of this guy. We're in the key of A. We're going to do a 12 bar blues in the key of A. A minor pentatonic fits well with that. So that's what I need to do. So I plotted out these guys, but we're only going to stick to 5th position. And what else? These are really irrelevant. My key chart and the chords, the notes in every scale. And of course, I've got this guy, the note circle. So that's what I'll be bringing to show what I know about music theory next week. So for the last since Tuesday, so it's only Tuesday, Wednesday, 4 days worth of practice. So I've been doing A minor pentatonic, and doing a bit of music theory, reading up on what the 12 bar blues is all about. And then doing a bit of stuff like so a bit of sequences, bit of palm muting, a little bit of vibrato. So that's what I've been up to. So I'm getting kind of frustrated because it's been a week, not even a week, 4 days, and I don't feel like I'm making much progress. I mean, it's so easy to fall back into the G. And it's just simple strumming, and then this whole A minor pentatonic, which seems trivial. Until I start playing it and I still keep messing it up. And then I don't know many licks. So I know that one, and then the one I was learning from Justin Cathara just now, which is a full tone bend and the 8th fret high E, and then okay, buddy, get down. Get down. Get down. Okay. Down. Zeus likes to play too. So this is my practice routine. So I'm a bit nervous about going in next week just with this level of musicianship. It's pretty crap. My A minors. Not great. I got to keep practicing that. And the few licks, like I know one lick. So that's the extent of what I know for next week. I'm not really happy with that. So to finish out the homework, I'll do what he asks. Even though I didn't record the 12-bar blues, I'm gonna flick on a 12-bar blues progression, and then pretend like this is. So we'll start off. All right, so that is where I'm to with 12-Hour Blues after about 4 days of practice. Well, 4 days of practice since my last guitar instruction. And, well, 2 weeks, a little less than 2 weeks shy of a full year. So that's this has been my review of my homework for the week. I still got a couple days to practice, but this is basically how I go about practicing this thing. It's probably not optimal, but this is why I'm recording it anyway. If you have any feedback, if you have any advice on what I should or should not be doing to improve as a guitarist, let me know. This is for me to get better as a guitarist. So anybody wants to comment, happy to hear your input. Yeah, so see you next time. Cheers.